All right. Good morning, everybody. Um, I wanted to start off with a story. Mother's Day, a few weeks or a couple weeks ago. My aunt brought over her my cousin. He's 2 years old, and she put him on the couch next to her phone. And what I noticed was he I don't know why he did this, but he grabbed the phone, turned it on. He's 2 years old. Turned it on, scrolled up and down, and selected an app. And he doesn't know how to walk or talk. Well, he barely knows how to walk, but he doesn't know how to talk. I'm Daniel, and I believe tech is extremely bad for children's development. In 2012, there was a study on a child obesity rate, and it was an actual increased 18% from 1980. And parents believe tech is calming their kids down, which it actually isn't. It's actually hurting their development. And kids do not they don't know the use of moderation yet, so it's not really wise to give them a phone or any type of device. And it was it's an average that kids spend around 5 hours a day on some sort of technical device. And I've actually seen parents actually hand their kids their phones just to calm them down, which is technically making tech the number one babysitter. um, Kids can also have severe mental breakdowns, high anxiety, and low social skills due to tech. Catherine Adair, a psychologist, says tech affects three things from kids, such as social interaction, personal emotion, and an emotional understanding and intelligence. Um, Social interaction, by it is extremely hard for kids to reach out to other kids and have just a conversation and make friends. Personal emotion just as how to, I guess, handle their emotions in different conversations, like controlling their anger, controlling their sadness. Understanding intelligence. Well, instead of kids automatically just learning things because they are developing, they usually rely and turn to some sort of device to get their information. Um, so another way of, I guess, emotional way that tech is hurting kids is due to, say you're having a conversation, kids, they won't really react in a certain way as me and you would. They would I guess show less emotion and facial reactions due to, like, in conversations. So extreme moderation can really lessen the impact on growth and development in their minds. Tech also damages creativity and uniqueness, and the uniqueness from the most imaginative minds in the world. So most kids, they tend to play dress up. Some dressing up as superheroes, some dressing up as ghosts, or etc. Dressing up as just I guess their most famous role model. But kids now, due to technology, they can also imply the same things on some digital apps, scrolling through an avatar, picking some sort of costume for their outfit or their avatar to wear, and it kind of strips away the creativeness from the child. So you'd say, like, hmm, not it wouldn't have the same impact as if the kid was to put on themselves. Like, say they put on some sort of silly clown mask or whatever, they'd get like less, I guess, reaction. Um, the usage of this type of tech does handicap the child's minds, and it hurts their development. Think of Bing Bong from Inside Out. He was created from a child. He was made of cotton candy. He was half dolphin, and he cried candy when sad. All right, let me ask you guys. Let me ask you all. How many times you spoke to a friend and your friend was so engaged in their device or technology that they didn't understand, or they were not paying attention to a single word you just said? Now imagine your friend being a 5-year-old kid. how much information do you think they retain? And that's it for me.
All right, so please give Daniel some feedback in the chat box.
Cool. I would
Do you have the timing?
okay. I'd like to pass it on to Aaron.
Thanks, Dan. Hi, good morning, everyone. So, I would like you all to take a moment and imagine that you all can go to school or university, wherever you desire, and just think about that you don't have any financial crisis that's going to stop you from happening there. So, my name is Aaron. So today I'm going to be discussing on topic and giving you a speech about college and universities should be free. So I believe that everybody has a right to go to school, despite of their financial situation. It is a basic need of the generation. So no institute, university, or college should have the authority to stop anyone who desires to get a platform to learn and earn a degree. So according to Max Page and Dan Clausen, both a professor at the University of Massachusetts, said, "A century ago, high school was becoming a necessity, not a luxury. Today, the same thing is happening to the college. If a college is essential for building a career and being a full participant in America's democracy, as high school once was, shouldn't it be free, paid for by public dollars, and treated as a right of all the members of our country?" So observe your life as a college student, where you have to manage your bills, sustain your basic needs, and also pay or loan a major amount of money to afford for your education. So according to Michelle, she university professor at University of Stanford, she said U.S. loan debt reaches a staggering 1.53 trillion dollars. Student loan debt has risen by 130% since 2008, and public college costs have risen by 213% by 2017. Students are coming out of college are already buried under a mountain of debt before they can have a chance to start their career. So currently only 30% of Americans who started college or university ended up graduating, and this presents a huge waste of money and time. So according to Professor Bob Samuels, if student did not have to work while in school, the graduation rate would have improved drastically, and students at university could graduate in 4 years instead of 6 years or more years. So as for me, if I have to give you an example of my personal experience, I came to America, and for me, I had to pay just for the 15 credit. I had to pay almost like $4,000, and it was not even university. It was just a public college, and that became one of the reasons for me to drop out of school. And I was not being able to sustain myself any longer, or afford for any education over here. And it was difficult for my family to afford an American dollar. Converting that into Nepalese dollar, that's going to be a huge amount of money. So that is something that I really had to deal, and it was one of the bad experience, and it really hit me hard that I was not being able to go back to school for a long time. But finally, here I am, still trying my best. So there's a quote by Barbara Mikuski saying, "College is a part of American dream. It should not be a part of financial nightmare for the families." Thank you. All right, I would like to go ahead and pass it on to Marcy.
Thank you, Erin. Can you all hear me? Good. Just nod your heads if so. Okay. Good morning, everybody. I ask you today, how many of you on a daily basis interact with your close friends or families using social media? I know I do. With that being said, do you believe social media has been taken for granted as a society? I'm Marcy Rose, and I firmly believe social media has changed our society for the better. Coming from Generation Z, I have seen social media firsthand transform itself into multiple things. And as a younger child, I first created my MySpace and was given the ability to find and add friends. So I requested all my close friends and family. My mom is the only sibling of 8 coming from the Philippines, and she's here alone in the United States and uses social media on a daily basis to interact with all of her 8 brothers and sisters and their children as well. So being alone in the United States, coming from a country like that is very scary. And the fact that she still makes the effort to call, text them, FaceTime, Facebook Live them, shows something that has given her something that nobody else has been able to. As a whole, social media has taken a turn throughout the years and has become this capitalist, manipulative, and toxic waistband, unfortunately. But because it has given the outlet to connect with people hundreds and thousands of miles all over the world, it makes a difference in everybody's day-to-day basis. People all over the world connect with those that they love or communities they relate to using social media. I'm sure you all have seen gaming streams. That has provided a lot of outlets for so many different people that don't have the ability to socially interact like that in public. Whether that is a status update or even just sharing what it's for lunch, people thrive on connecting with others. In today's world, that looks like a simple like or even a share. You can uncover industry trends in real time. Right now, 2020, there are 7.8 billion people in the world. And on a daily basis, 3.8 billion use social media. Facebook right now has the highest usage day by day, with about 7.8 million users. And right behind that follows Twitter as well, coming at about 3.8 million users on a day-to-day basis. So there's so many different outlets that you can use social media. And most people nowadays, 59% of marketers use social media to expand on their businesses. How many of you all have been surfing Instagram, Twitter, or even talked or even search something on your Google search engine, and maybe even minutes later have seen targeted ads just even browsing your social media? Because I know I have. I have been in the Instagram loop, and I believe that they have one of the best marketing and targeted ads on any of the social media websites so far. Unfortunately, not all businesses see the growth through social media. And with that being said, if you disagree that social media has not extended its benefits to society, then you're lacking depth, because there's so much more than what it is now. And from when it first began, it has transformed into something that many people rely on as a career, as a growth area, and also as just a part of their journey. So I know you all use social media on a day-to-day basis. Even us, we're using Zoom to interact with each other, even though, in this pandemic, to still learn, train, interact, and still receive all those recommended social cues in our settings. So my name is Marcy Rose, and I firmly believe that social media has changed our society for the better. Thank you. I would like to pass it on to Kwanzaa.
Thank you, Marcy. Good morning, class. My name is Kwanzaa Stalling, and today I'm excited to present my argument for you all. Anime is better than manga. Initially, I'd like to pose this question for you to ponder on. A beautifully painted picture is nice and all, paving the way for much more profound inspiration, but is it not bluntly obvious for you to see how our average consumer, not just the average consumer, but society as a whole, is entertained by the concept of live motion? I'm definitely a fan of the overall concept of Japanese pop culture. With no manga, you couldn't have anime. However, I firmly believe that anime is the more all-inclusive form of media and the better choice between the two. Clearly put, the production budget is almost of no comparison in what the funding that goes into an anime looks like rather than the funding for its manga. Simply said, with a larger budget, you're going to have a larger payout when it comes to the overall production levels. What is it that truly draws in and captivates the audience? It's definitely the color, the voice acting, whether you're a dub or sub fan, the visualization of motion, and of course, the soundtracks that all captivate and pull the heartstrings of the viewer. There isn't, there isn't much that you can do when you're looking at the appeal of beautiful aesthetics and visuals that anime so clearly puts on the table. Another impossible replication of an immersive experience that manga lacks is seen, but not truly seen, within the within the action scenes themselves. You'd have to have the world's most active and superpowered imagination to come close to the experience that you get from watching Naruto lay my boy Sasuke out in their final battle. To put it in layman's terms, try to imagine the same experience from watching The Fast and the Furious in comparison to reading a comic, let alone a book. Hard to imagine that you can get that same blood rush, huh? What is it that truly draws in and captivates? Oh, excuse me. For my last point, I'd like to take a moment just to highlight the significant gap when it comes to the jump between the revenue from the anime industry in comparison to the manga industry. The revenue from the Japanese industry reached a record-breaking 2.15 trillion yen last year, equating to approximately $19.9 billion American, according to the AJA, which is the Association of Japanese Animation. While on the other hand, coming from the All Japan Magazine Book Publishers and Editors Association, the manga industry drug in a whooping 441.4 billion yen, which translates to almost $4.1 billion American. Just to back this point from my initial point, the higher your budget, the higher potential you have in general. Whether that potential turns into a profit or a failure is really just dependent on the production studio, obviously. Finally, it's not that I'm attempting to sell them to sell one of them short, of course, but the numbers aren't measurable if you want to talk about whose pockets are deeper. This being said, after me stating, of course, my own personal bias, I'd like to leave you all with the numbers, allow them to do the talking, and let your beautiful, colorful minds draw your own conclusions. Thank you.
Kwanzaa, I didn't hear you say, what's it called?
Haha.
Good
I'm gonna go ahead
job.
and pass it to 2.
I'm not trying to be joking. I'm saying they see your growth.
Check.
Thank you, Kwanzaa. Can I start? So what is an introvert? According to the dictionary, an introvert is a shy, reticent person. But is that not true? Not all introverts are shy, and definitely not all extroverts are outgoing. There are a lot of misconceptions in the world about introverts. They're often thought of as antisocial, shy, or reserved. This leads to the impression that introverts cannot be great leaders. But in many cases, there is an advantage to being an introvert. Hello, my name is Tu, and today I'm going to share with you 3 reasons why I firmly believe that introverts to make great leaders. Growing up, we're often told that we need more diversity in school and in the workplace. And yet, we only know diversity in the form of race, religion, and gender. Nowhere is it ever mentioned that we need diversity in form of ideas and thoughts. In the book Quiet, The Power of Introvert in a World That Can't Stop Talking by Susan King, she explained a well thought out, scientifically supported case for the fact that society tends to embrace the idea of extroversion. She also explained that school emphasize on collaboration and participation that may favor the nature inclination of extroverts. Contrary to popular belief, introverts are actually better leaders when it comes to managing a group of proactive individuals toward a common goal. This is because they let those individuals run with their ideas and creativity rather than forcing their own agenda on them. According to a study by Harvard Business Review, introverts are more likely to succeed in leading a proactive team because they listen more carefully and are more open to suggestions. In the study, Harvard researchers divided a group of 163 students into 56 groups and had them pull as many t-shirts in 10 minutes as possible. Some of the group were led by introverts, while the other group were led by extroverts. At the end, the groups that were led by introvert were up to 28% more productivity. Mahatma Gandhi, Rosa Parks, and Dr. Martin Luther King all have one thing in common. Can one person please call up mute and tell me what you think it is?
They're all introverts.
Introverts.
Yes, that's correct. They were all introverts and they were all great leaders. Introvert speeches can be so powerful and impactful that it can reinforce a positive perception and lifestyle on people. This is because introverts are a great listener, and they take the time to process everything before jumping to conclusion. According to Lori Helgo, a clinical psychologist and the author of Introvert Power, a good listener is one who stays neutral while seeking to understand what the speaker is saying. This means refraining from jumping to conclusion based on your personal judgment, opinion, or experience, and not hijacking the conversation to be about them. I want to leave you all with this quote by Susan King. There is zero correlation in being the best talker and having the best ideas. To me, this means that you don't have to be a great speaker to be successful or to be a great leader. So don't be discouraged and change who you are just so you can fit in with society, because society could stand to benefit more from introverts. That's it. All right. Now I'm going to pass it off to Priscilla. Please give her all your attention.
Good morning, everyone. By the show of hands, to answer my question, has anybody of you had a teacher in the past who has impacted your life? If you raise your hand, then it proves this statistic of 88% of Americans say that their teachers impacted a huge part of their life. Hello, everyone. My name is Priscilla Monter, and I believe teachers should receive higher salaries across the U.S. This includes elementary school teachers to high school teachers. Should be able to live in a comfortable salary. First, to begin, teachers make between $38,000 to $45,000 a year. Most teachers find it hard to support themselves because they have bills to pay just like the rest of us. In states like California and New York, teachers live remote from where they work due to high rent, and they mostly rely on public transportation to get to school. They cannot afford a car sometimes, or car insurance, or even sometimes fill up their car with gas on a daily basis. And because of their low pay, most teachers say it causes dissatisfaction. It is known that teachers are leaving their jobs as well as their fields. Teachers are also adults who raise a family back home, just like the rest of us. A recent study I found, it confirms teachers are working second jobs to support themselves. Teachers are more likely to receive government program benefits such as food stamps, even during being full-time employed. This shows the struggles of teachers are facing. To my second point, most teachers are underappreciated. Along with the question that I asked you guys from the start, teachers also get involved in their students' lives and to help them with their struggles. They also construct their own lessons, as they should as teachers, so they can teach their students, preparing them for tests and the next step to graduating. Something that is overlooked, teachers spend $500,000 of their income to provide supplies for their students and classrooms. They are undervalued, and some good teachers quit. During our current pandemic, in class over to what is going on in their personal lives. Teachers often complain that they pour their hearts and souls into the work, and students and society give them nothing in return. Something you have to consider is who taught you how to read, write, and express yourselves in your language. Teachers were the root of it all. And to my last point, to maintain a civil society, to flourish and function, we need those who educate us every step of the way. Teachers are leaving because of their pay and stress. Student enrollment is increasing because of immigration and birth rates. We now have a low supply for all of you. Who will teach our future children, the next generation? Aren't you concerned for them at all, or see this as a threat? Teachers educate far more than academics, such as athletics, performing arts, and teach us right from wrong. If we were not taught right from wrong, then civilization will not flourish or show a sign in intelligence. Whether it is on school campus or virtual, teachers are still present to educate our citizens of society. Personally, I see my teachers go through such hardships, which prompted me to share their struggles, all due to their low pay and underappreciation. Maybe this topic was something that came to mind once in your life. I believe our teachers keep leaving, or some aren't willing to fill up those spots. Then choosing a career as a teacher will be seen as unworthy in the future. And that is my opinion. Society is starting to see it. Thank you, everyone, for your attention. and then I'll just pass it on to Jesus.
All right, thank you, Priscilla. So, I want all of you to open up your bank accounts right now and send everything you have to me. Now that I have your attention and your money, I will split it up between everyone that is here. That's socialism. The willingness to give everything you have to the government, that those in power can split it up between everyone, no matter if they worked hard for it or didn't. Hello, I'm Jesus, and I firmly believe that capitalism is better than socialism. According to Merriam-Webster, socialism is any of various economical or political theories advocating collective or governmental ownership and administration of means of production and distribution of goods. In simpler terms, the government owns everything and controls how everything is managed, from the crops in the fields to the software being developed to who gets what and when they get it. On the contrary, capitalism is the economic system characterized by private or corporate ownership of capital goods, by investments that are determined by private decision, and by prices, production, and distribution of goods that are determined mainly by competition in the free market. So, healthcare is something that's very important in modern times, but I believe that capitalists, mainly the US healthcare systems, are better than the others. A country like Canada has socialized healthcare and has many problems, but the main problems is wait time. An estimated 44,000 Canadian women have lost their lives between 1993 and 2009 as a result of these lengthy delays. One example of long wait times is for hip and knee replacement surgery, which is around 182 days or 6 months of wait. This is a problem because if you do not get the surgery as soon as possible, one could develop osteoarthritis, which deteriorates their function and movement. Here in US capitalism, I fractured this pinky in the 4th grade and I got surgery to fix it the next week. If I didn't get that surgery, my life wouldn't have changed much, just my pinky finger. But what for something important like my knee or my hip? So capitalism has also made our lives so much easier through the development of technology. Capitalist countries like the US have a free market. So that means everything is privately owned, limiting the power of the government. I want all of you to take a moment and think to the last 20 years and how much technology has advanced. We now have smartphones, smart watches, smart fridges, smart cars, smart everything. Where were all those developed? They were all developed in a free market economy. Indeed, most of them developed in the US. When was the last time you heard something being developed in Canada, France, Germany, or anyone who socialized this government? Currently, the world is fighting against COVID-19 or the coronavirus. Since the outbreak started, we're getting news about how we don't have enough toilet paper or masks or ventilators or anything like that. In the US, it's mainly the government's fault because the CDC bottlenecking all this information available. Immediately, the private sector, once it was available, focused all their efforts to combat the coronavirus. Labs in America started developing new tests each day, and the tests became faster and faster. Right now, the fastest test you can get the results in 5 minutes. It was developed by Abbott here in the US. The US also made masks reusable after sanitizing them, which has never been done before anywhere in the world. And it was said it couldn't be done. All these advancements, and where's the news of other countries doing things like the US? Where's the news of other countries developing new products, changing the ways they do things like sanitizing the masks? I have a question for all of you. If you were to develop new tech, medicine, etc., anything of the sorts, where would you want to develop it? Here in the US with capitalism or in any other country? Thank you for your time. I'm open for feedback in the chat. I think you'll be passing it on to Mario now.
Thank you, Jesus. So, as the gaming community grows, more tournaments are starting to happen. And we start thinking to ourselves, wow, I want to be like that. But then we look at their setup and we realize we need a PC to even be considered a top competitor. Hello, everybody. My name is Mario Hernandez, and today I'm going to be talking why PC is the ultimate gaming platform. As we all know, most of the well-known gamers in the community or watched end up being PC players. They usually are the ones that bring in the most attention and revenue. For example, Ninja being the highest grossing streamer who has been the only one to achieve 14 million followers, which no console player has ever achieved before. He usually promotes his brand highly and shows tips and tricks to his fan base on how to become a better player. Actually, even recently, he has partnered up with Red Bull and showed how he has designed his gaming dojo. There's also other streamers who are growing their fan base right now, such as TSM Myth, Shroud, Lyric, and many more, who constantly share their specs to their community to show what you are able to obtain for you to become a PC player of your own. You can't really do that with console if you think about it, aside from saying which model you have, right? So when we bring in data into this, we talk about how many gamers there is. That's the question that I was asking myself. And actually, gaming.io answered that question for me. Said they figured out that there are 2.2 billion gamers globally. Out of those 2.2 billion, 1.2 billion of those actually play games on PC. And that doesn't mean that they have full optimized PC to run high-res games, but that does mean that they have some sort of system where you're playing games on your PC where you're not playing it on your console. So if we talk about why PC is better in a sense, it's taking pride of what you build and cherishing it like it's your baby. If you think about it, it's just like you're building a car. You're building a bike or you're doing your own DIY project. You're building it from the ground up. There is, of course, those who do like to build or who don't like to build their PC and just buy it complete. That's fine too. But if you're continuing to have the same console, later on, you would have to buy a new model just to be able to run the later games and have the better specs, right? Well, with PC, having a PC gaming platform, you constantly can upgrade your parts if you don't feel like they're optimizing with the games and continue to build off that without having to buy a whole bunch of new stuff. So you see the benefits to it? Because I do. So now imagine, the next time you're watching a tournament, a gaming tournament in that case, with your PC in your room, you don't have to think to yourself, wow, I want to be like that. You think to yourself, hey, I have a PC and I have the abilities to be just as good. Thank you all. And I would like to receive feedback if y'all have anything for me. Please and thank you.